Hello everyone, and welcome to Was It Worth It, the video game review podcast brought to you by SharcTank Media. I'm Tim.
And I'm Dane.
That's right, Dane's back with us. Last week we had Isaac, one of our rotating hosts, but it's the original cast back together.
Yes, the dynamic duo is back.
You know it. Alright, so this is episode 2 of season 2, so season 2 has officially started. We are doing once every 2 weeks instead of once weekly. Dane, what game did we play?
This week, we played a two-dimensional fighting game by the name of Lethal League, developed and published by Team Reptile, an indie developer from the Netherlands. You can snag it on Steam for $14, and this game is very unique for a two-dimensional fighter, as the purpose of the game isn't so much to beat your opponent senseless with your fists. You're actually tasked with attacking a ball, baseball swing style, and straight up launching it at your opponent.
Think Pong meets Super Smash Brothers.
That's actually what I was going to say. Yeah, you know, their goal is, of course, to smack it back in your direction. The ball picks up serious speed each time it's hit. So it becomes kind of a real test of reflexes as you hit the ball back and forth in hopes of smashing your opponent with it. It also, other than Pong mixed with Smash Bros. Or Street Fighter, it kind of reminds me of the fight with Aghanon in Zelda Link to the Past, or the fight with Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time, where you're basically just hitting that magic ball back and forth, back and forth.
At a much faster pace.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. So, you know, I guess we can just get right into how we felt about the game. My experience with Lethal League has been pretty positive overall. I think this simple, stylistic, graphical approach works for the game because it makes the experience really smooth and fluid, especially online, which is really impressive for such a reflex-based game. It's also addictively fun to just smash that rapid-flying ball over and over until it destroys your opponent or ruins you. You kind of just want to keep doing it over and over and over again. Even though it's pretty repetitive, it's pretty simplistic, but it's addictive, it's fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Each of the characters, too, they're surprisingly different from one another. They're pretty well designed. Other than the main kid, Raptor, he felt a little boring. There's an awesome soundtrack with a fun mix of like house and hip-hop tracks. The game puts a really great, unique twist on the fighting game genre, and it has a lot of style. I'd say Lethal League was worth it for me. How about you?
Yeah, you know, coming into it, I'm not the biggest fan of fighting games. That's not to say that I don't like them. I definitely do. I grew up playing a lot of Mortal Kombat, and I didn't really get into Street Fighter, which is definitely probably the most popular fighting game of all time. Maybe second to Smash Brothers, but that's a different crowd, I think, that attracts the two, or at least somewhat differently. Yeah. Smash Brothers is more casual, I guess.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, Smash Brothers does have a lot of hardcore fighting game fans, but it also has casual fighting game fans, which some of the other fighting games don't have.
Exactly, yeah. And what I think I like about this game is that it's more streamlined. See, the problem I have with most fighting games is there's so many different combos that you can do, and I just don't... It's not as fun to me to build up the muscle memory, because fighting games are always really twitch-based. You got to be able to get there and you know, react really fast, identify what the enemy's doing and react fast, or you know, going in there with a set plan. And I don't have the time to build up the muscle memory to remember all the combos and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah, it takes a lot of practice, some of those games.
That's why a game like this, or Dive Kick, if you're familiar with it, is perfect, because this game has 3 buttons: jump, bunt, and attack. Now you can do up attack, down attack, you know, left bunt, right bunt. You can do all sort, you know, you can do combos, but really there's just 3 buttons that you really have to worry about. Otherwise, it's just jumping around and having a good time. And like Dan said, it's really stylized. The art style's cool. The music's great. It fits perfectly with the game. You know, the games are really quick. Like just today when I got home from work, I hopped on Lethal League and played a couple online games. In about 20 minutes, I played 8 games with the same guy back to back to back.
Nice.
Now, I lost 7 of those 8 games. I only won the 4th game, and on multiple ones, I didn't even knock him out once.
Wow, he must have been good.
He was pretty good. And other games, we were both down to 1 life, and you know what I mean. I ended up losing, but it was still, even though I lost 7 out of 8 games, I had a blast the whole time, and it was only 20 minutes of my time. You know, it's just, to me, it is definitely worth it by far. It's short for a fighting game, you know what I mean? And what, not short, but I mean, like, it's small, as in, like, there's not a lot of characters, there's not a lot of levels, there's not a lot of music, and that's why the price is small. you know, because the game is small. But that didn't really detract from my experience because there's enough variance. Each character has their own special ability, and
and they also have a different like vertical movement style.
Most of them do. Not all of them necessarily, or at least I don't know. It's interesting because there's little intricacies that the developers of the game haven't even released what they are. There's no official manual saying what the different characters do and things like that. So people are like figuring out things. You know, a lot of them are obvious, like being able to ride your skateboard on the wall, or double jumping, or jumping off the walls, and things like that. But there's also little intricacies that are harder to notice.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool, especially for, once again, something that seems really simply built to have little things like that kind of hidden in the game.
Yeah, and there's, you know, the meta game is pretty deep considering how simple the game is. It's really cool because when you're getting the ball, you know, Dan mentioned that you hit the ball back and forth, and it's gaining speed each time, particularly if you do a smash attack, which is a basic attack while pressing up or down.
Yeah.
Now a smash attack doubles. Well, I don't know if up does. I know that down does. Smash attack doubles the speed, whereas basic attacks slightly increase it. And when you do a big attack, once it starts getting up there, there's like a hit lag. There's a pause before the ball comes flying off of your bat or stick or whatever it is that you use, boombox in case of one character. And it's really cool because it gives you enough time. You know, the ball's coming faster. It's proportionate to how fast the ball's going. So the faster the ball is, the longer the pause is. So it gives you more time to kind of anticipate where the ball's going to be going.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, because it gets so fast, it almost becomes impossible to react to it. So there's, you know, it's really cool. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, those spots too where you smash attack the ball and it does that little dramatic pause where you're smashing it and it's holding it still for a second, but you know it's just going to start flying, you know, in a couple seconds, and then you manage to time it perfectly, and then you hit it and it does the same thing. Yeah. Really felt kind of like a Dragon Ball Z battle.
Sure, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it's surprisingly epic for two, you know, for a lizard and a kid in a baseball helmet hitting a ball.
I think the scout from TF2, and thus you get Raptor as a young scout. He's like a teenager.
Yeah.
But he's got a baseball bat, and he's got a batting helmet instead of a baseball cap like the scout does. But he's wearing the backpack, and
yeah, he definitely resembles the scout for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, this game, it's really simple, so there's not a lot to say about it, other than I'm having a ton of fun with it. It's just...
Yeah, well, one thing I did want to make sure to say is that another game that it really reminds me of strongly, not the same genre whatsoever, but just very similar in style, is the Jet Set Radio games. There's Jet Set Radio on the Dreamcast and Jet Set Future, I believe it was called, or Jet Set Radio Future on the Xbox, original Xbox. And those are games that essentially task you with kind of rollerblading around an open world and tagging everything. It's sort of a rollerblading kind of stunt-based game, like a Tony Hawk style, except you get extra points for doing graffiti and running away from the cops, essentially. But those games are cel-shaded, the characters are designed very much like the characters in this game, and the music is very similar, in which there's a lot of cool like hip-hop and house and stuff like that. So it's very focused on the music and the style.
Yeah, I've never actually played the Jet City games, but Jet City games, but I'm familiar with them. Isn't there a
Jet Set Radio,
Jet City, Jet Set, whatever?
Yeah.
And isn't there a new game that's kind of inspired by them coming out soon? Is it Sunset Overdrive? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Sunset Overdrive definitely looks like it has Jet Set Radio influences.
But kind of like a zombie apocalypse in Jet Set.
Yeah, it looks like it's a little more in the way of action. Whereas Jet Set Radio, I mean, it had action in the sense that, like, cops are shooting at you and stuff like that, but you weren't fighting anything, really. Your goal was just to tag as many spots as you could without getting caught or killed or whatever.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Sunset Overdrive reminds me of Jet Set Radio. Jet Set Radio reminds me of Lethal League. Yeah, it's very cool, very stylistic game.
Yeah, and there's different maps. There's 5 different maps, but one for each player.
Yeah, each character sort of has one. Yeah, so the lizard character, who kind of reminds me of the Lizard Man from Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Except a lot cooler.
Yeah,
hipper.
Yeah, he's like a combination of the Lizard Man from Spider-Man and Twitch from League of Legends. He's actually a rat, but he hunched over and kind of looks a lot like what's his name? Is it a Latch?
Latch is his name. So he's not a lizard. He's a rat.
He's a rat.
How did I not realize that?
No. In League of Legends, the character I was referencing is a rat.
Oh,
he is a lizard.
Yeah. So he's a lizard. He reminds me of the lizard man from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
His level's like a sewer. You're on a sewer pipe, and there's this cool like neon green sludge in the background, or not neon green, but it's phosphorescent. Yeah, it's hard to describe. There's a lot of cool colors in the game. There's a crazy character, just a goofy ass character that reminds me of like
my favorite.
He reminds me of like Deadmau5, but with no ears.
A little bit, yeah.
Or Kermit a little bit.
Yeah, he's like half human, half Muppet, and he's
Candyman. That's his name.
He's really goofy, and his level is an insane asylum. So yeah.
So that's just an example of how the levels kind of personality-wise, match up to the characters.
But yeah, so, I mean, we got some footage. You're watching footage of us. This is actually me and Dane playing against each other online. I was going to mention online play actually works really well considering how Twitch-based the game is, because there's an automatic frame rate adjustment that it does to equalize the lag, essentially.
Yeah, I'm always so impressed, too, when I see features like that seem a little more complex, that you don't really expect from small indie titles. I mean, their previous game, Team Reptile, was Megabyte Punch.
Oh, Megabyte Punch. I own that game, but I've never played it.
Yeah,
funny.
That's their first game. So this is basically their sophomore title, so to speak. And Megabyte Punch looks really cool. I haven't played it either.
It's like Smash Brothers meets Mega Man.
Kinda, yeah. And the reviews for that are decent. It had like a 68 score.
Yeah, I bought it. I still haven't played it.
Yeah, and this game is doing even better. So it's really cool to see small teams succeeding, small game developers.
Yeah, and that's really cool. But anyway, I mean, there really isn't much more we can say. Go buy this game. It really is a ton of fun, especially if you have friends. Playing it over LAN would be super fun. I don't know if you can though. Is there a way to play over LAN?
It's local, so you'd have two controllers plugged into the same machine.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do that. And I would say if you're not really a fan of fighting games, buy it when it's on sale.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Then it's worth it no matter what, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun, especially for the price. And again, it plays great over the internet. So even if you don't have friends to play with necessarily, it still worth checking out. There's different modes you can play in offline. You can do like a challenge mode, which is kind of like an arcade mode.
Yeah, the challenge mode. Yeah, it's a lot like an arcade mode. You fight computer controlled characters, and you unlock color schemes, like skins for your characters by doing that. You get experience and you get colors that way. It's really cool. Anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening. Go check out our other Was It Worth It episodes if you're not familiar with this podcast that we do. We review a lot of games, both indie and AAA titles, and
mostly indie.
But we'll continue to do more episodes of this. It's going to be bi-weekly, on Fridays.
Yeah,
every other Friday.
If that's what does bi-weekly mean, twice a week or every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Like when you get your paycheck bi-weekly.
Okay, there you go.
Right? No, wait.
No, I always thought that was like bi-monthly.
Bi-monthly?
In which you have getting 2 paychecks a month.
No, maybe you're right.
I was thinking bi-weekly means twice a week. Whatever, once every 2 weeks, however you say that, in one word, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to correct us or tell us that we're really, really foolish for being 28 years old and not knowing what bi-weekly means, go ahead and leave comments. Or if there's any games you want us to review, feel free to let us know. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jargon.
And check out our website, SharcTank.com. That's shark with a C.
All right. Thank you so much for listening, and you take care.
Bye.